feel alright. I got a few joints rolled, and my lunch is made. Got my headphones on, and I close the door, don't disturb me. It's time to stand up tall and say some things about the shitty world we're living in. With the boys at Raconteurs News. It's Raconteurs, 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 Raconteurs News, Raconteurs News, Raconteurs News, Raconteurs News, Raconteurs News. Oh yeah. Good evening and welcome to the fucking madhouse. It's Raconteurs News Tuesday evening on this momentous day. All sorts of shenanigans going off in Parliament at the moment, which we are going to be covering and getting into. We'll have that vote straight away for you. As soon as Sky can get it to us, we'll have the result of the vote that is going off in Parliament tonight. But anyway, listen, welcome to Raconteurs News. I'm Jase and Holmes, and you're watching us hopefully on Google Hangout if you're watching live, and if you're watching the YouTube repeat, as it were, that's there all the time. Then hello. This we're live, and you'll probably know what the result was, but we don't, and we're itching to know. We've just been having a bit of a listen to some of the shenanigans. As usual, I'm joined. I want to say hello to everyone in the chat room as well, everyone who's going on there in the chat room. And oh yes, we've got a couple of things. Super Leeds proposed to new being last night, so we might have our first Raconteurs News wedding very, very soon. That's if Super Leeds can manage to get himself to where new being is, because I know she's not. I think she's in Sweden, so not that close to be courting or stepping out together or whatever you call it these days, fucking Grindr or Tinder or some fucking shit. Oops, I do apologise for my language. I know it's early on in the show, but it's just such a crazy crackers world that a few swear words I don't think really matter very much. What do you reckon, Paul Webster, my co-host?
Well, you know me, Jason, I don't like swearing. I don't use swear words at all. Only to accentuate things. Going off that ratio there, I used to have a mate who'd work off ratios like that. When we turned out, he believed that if he asked 100 girls, would they go to bed with him, at least one would say yeah. And he never proved me wrong, or should I say, he was never wrong. So
yeah. Over the years, I've heard some child lines in my time. In fact, do you know, I had a memory pop up on Facebook this morning, and I thought to myself, "Oh my God, this is from 9 years ago." It's from 9 years ago. Oh God, I can't get it. I'll get it up anyway. But I just thought to myself, man, things have changed quite a lot. I'm a little bit more diplomatic these days than I used to be back in the DJing days. But I really didn't very much like people back in them days, but I'll find it out in a bit.
So hang on. Then that's changed, has it?
It's changed. Yeah, changed. I'm a lot. I'm going to find it, and then I'm going to ask you if you can imagine me saying it now, because most people wouldn't be able to. Let me see if I can find it on Facebook on there. Why don't you just talk for a second, and I'll find it, because it were quite.
Well, at this moment, they're all walking out now of the of Parliament. They're all walking out. They're all mumbling amongst each other.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Burkow's now saying something.
Okay, let's see if we can get some sound. Is there any sound on the other of you?
I've just turned sound down.
Oh, it's Laura Kuntisberg is on at the moment on BBC. We've got it on because we like to watch the paedophiles channel to get all our news. I think they all are, aren't they? So, let me find.
I mean, if you just look at what's going on now, and we're talking about what this backstop meant. You know, the Theresa May is stated now that if MPs thinking voting this deal down gets them to go back to Europe, Theresa May is saying the EU aren't coming back to the table. It's this deal or it's no deal. I can see why a lot of people are panicking because they don't know what that no deal means, but it's a no-brainer for me, Jason. You know, I've stuck with it for all this time. I'm not going to change my mind now.
Yeah, it's well, this, see, all these things that are going on, me and you, we didn't have, just before we came on the show, me and you, we had no clue what this backstop thing was all about. I found something on online. Oh God, do you know, backstop? There we go.
But basically, it's leaving the door open, like they said, indefinitely. Well, that means all the regulations are in place. That means that not very much changes. And why people think that we cannot trade with other countries if we're not part of the EU, I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's like there's no fight. There's no fight amongst the people anymore, and the people that want to do something about it, they're like the rest of us. Well, who do we speak to? What do? We can't do this. We can't do that. For God's sake, you've got people applying for licenses to protest. You might it's a waste of time. But people have got to do something. That's why I welcome whatever it is you can do something, because you've got to start looking at this and highlighting it for people. And there's more and more people seeing what the hell is going on. There's more and more people asking what can you do about this? But they've got real life that takes over everything as well. Some of the local friends and that have just been posting on one of the local sites that because of with the odd day off here or there, they're now starting to fine them for taking the kids out, especially if it's in school time for holidays. Now, we all know that if you take the kids away on holiday when the schools are off, the holidays are dearer.
Three times as much.
Exactly. And they think they've got the authority to charge parents for doing this. And parents, hopefully that's at least one line that parents will draw, because there's not a penny. They would not get a penny. But then, you can't go onto a local site and start talking about registering the children and all this. It doesn't, you're going to lose people. But the factor is, it does come down to that money. And when you're talking about taking money off for children when you've been on holiday, people work bloody hard to just about scrape enough money to get away for the kids these days. So I think that could be interesting locally if that takes off here. But we all know if they sit around and just take the flak for long enough, we normally give up, don't we?
That's the thing, isn't it? But there seems to be something different here. The Rastas are quite. It's like something's woken up in many people. The people that were perhaps before might have been a little bit, but what we've done here is they've dangled something in front of us. David Cameron dangled something in front of us.
It was a pig's head, wasn't it?
Sorry?
It was a pig's head, wasn't it?
Well, listen, there'd probably be a pig's head in front of him, right, at about waist level at some point. But the point you were making about the kids in school and not being able to take your kids out of school to be able to go on holiday, because then you'll get a fine. I mean, there's more and more. I'm going to screen share this. That somebody sent me. I'll tell you who it was that sent me it. Fuck off, fucking thing.
Stop swearing. Stop
sorry.
it.
Sorry, I'm sorry. It's just frustrating. when you're an idiot like me. But yeah, this is something that's somebody sent to me, somebody from Sheffield, a guy called Gary Barber. And let me find the screen share. There we go. Share, present to everyone. Find this here. There we go. Can you see that?
Yeah, no idling engines.
No idling engines. Sheffield Council, as you can see there.
Yeah.
So thanks to the listener that sent me that, and it is somewhere in Sheffield. I don't exactly know where, but it also looks like it's got some sort of 5G thing near it as well. There, I don't know. Maybe it's not, but you know, it's more and more. You can't. It's can you fine? What can they fine you for? You know, they can even fine you now for having a thought.
It's what you can. It's what they can't. What can they not fine you for? They're fining you for, or they're trying to fine people for absolutely anything. You know, you've got. I've read an article yesterday where an environmental patrol officer followed an elderly lady who refuted that she'd dropped any rubbish. He followed her 3 miles to her house and then wouldn't let her get into a property. Wouldn't let her get into past the gate. This has got to come to an end, Jason. We can't allow these idiots to keep thinking that they can do this. And people are not switched on enough, or they don't care enough, or they're not in trouble, or they've done nothing wrong, so they don't need to know any of this. That mentality, God, how many times have we seen it through history? You know, we was only talking about the Martin Niemöller comments last night about how he never said anything when they came for certain demographics of people. And by the time they come for him, there was nobody left to say anything. So he consciously had that in him to when he became a pastor, that if there was people protesting something, and again, I should have used the word protest because it's that legal acceptance. You can protest it, but it's still happening. You've still accepted it. It's how do we now not accept it? How do we reject it? How do we take control? Because they seem to be wanting to angle us to the only option is violence. And you can see that's what they're ready for.
And they are. Like I had the conversation with Airy Cookie Monster a while back about the violence. But you know, when that's completely off the table, when you've come from a position where that is it, and absolutely no circumstances are you going to resort to any violence, even to defend yourself, then I think you've already lost, haven't you? You've already lost because they've got a tool that they're prepared to use, and you're not prepared to use it. And look, I'm not one. I don't want people to. I don't want any violence. I don't want anybody to get hurt or anything in any way. There should be. And there's supposed to be, and if people will argue with you that there is already a system in place where you can change things through the ballot box, which we know is nonsense because we've tried that, and now we've got all this palaver going on behind us, going on down in London, where you've got a group of people that are desperately trying to hijack democracy, and it's across all parties. And when are people going to just say, well, what the fucking hell have we got these here for? Why are we paying these? Why do they get subsidised bar? Why do they get subsidised meals? You know, and then they'll get allowances per day and expenses and all this sort of stuff. And then they do something wrong. This is the fun thing. I don't know what's just come here and popped his head next to me. This is the thing. Would it be okay? You know, if you went into court, right? You're on a speed. You've been doing 100 miles an hour in a 30 zone, and you go to the court and you say, well, actually, before we start, I've prepared a statement. I take road safety is our number one concern. Is my number one concern, and I endeavour for this a situation like this to never happen again, and then read some more crap out, virtue signalling myself to try and get myself off it, and the magistrate's going to go, all right, off you go then. If you're not going to do it again, it's not going to happen. But these get away with it all the time. The bankers got away with it. The bankers, how come there's no bankers in prison after the 2000? I mean, it's 10 years ago now since the crash in 2008. and it's 11. It's coming getting on for 11, and yet there's not. There might be one or two token ones in America, but can you think of a British banker that's in, Nick?
The only reason bankers go to jail is if they've robbed off the wrong people, if they've robbed off the wrong bankers. I know bankers who are in jail, and it's because people above them didn't get paid, and they were the bigger earners than the ones that were below them. So I've spoken to people like that. They know what a cutthroat system it is. You haven't got friends in that system. You know, it's not a system of friendships. It's a system of mutual acquaintances that can be beneficial to each other. You know, it's all about monopoly. You know, why should there be competition when they could have everything all together? And what they're doing now is just arguing over who's going to have the overall control of what, you know, the chaos that they're creating right now. And it is an absolute mess. I mean, you know, you haven't even got a chance to get bored of keep saying it's an absolute mess, because the mess just gets thicker and thicker every day.
As does the population.
You like to think not. You like to think, because I do have conversations where people are talking about this stuff. So you like to think, yeah, you know, what would you like to do about it? That's where it stops. But at least they're starting to think about it. It was difficult to start a conversation 10 years ago about stuff like this, because, you know, what was happening in Ireland, which is what I could see very evident because of what I was going through at the time. And I could see that test bed happening. I knew that was going to come over here. They just wanted to see what it goes like. It's the same with Scotland. Scotland have been a test bed for so many policies, you know, and it's all put through common purpose. It's all through the same directives, the same legislation, different faces saying the same rhetoric. I don't know. Again, we come to the same junction, Jason. What do people need to do? Obviously, it's a punch in the face and a kick in the balls. Otherwise, they won't do anything.
Oh, you're waking up and your car's been clamped for some new law that you didn't even understand and didn't even know about, and they wanting 200 notes off you just to be able to release it. So yeah, but I'm just looking in the chat room. We've got Johnny Jamshovel in there. Johnny is the guy that does the write-ups for each individual show afterwards. So thanks to him. But he says there's far too many people comfortable sleeping in the southeast. So the point is people are just too comfortable in the southeast, and that seems to be where all the power's based as well, isn't it? Everything seems to centre around the southeast, whereas most of us real people up here, we get sort of left out, and we get things tested on us, like 5G if they're testing it in different places, and you know, we're the test bed for a lot of things, and a lot of these silly laws that they put in Scotland, the Named Persons Act. I mean, that's ridiculous. I know it got defeated, but it's going to be back in some capacity, you know. So now your children, someone could come to your house and say, I'm taking your children. I'm just taking it. I mean, they can now.
Well, the fact is they were going to, whether your family was functional or not, they were going to allocate a social worker for every single family. So whether you was great at parenting or you weren't so great, or you was absolutely awful, you was going to get a social worker. Now, if that social worker, through whatever non-agenda that they're pushing at the time, disagrees with your parenting, what happens? Because you don't have rights. You can see right now that any rights that you think that you have over your children aren't there. And that should be worrying for people. But there again, you'll have people who say, well, I'll work hard. That won't happen to my kids because I'll make sure I'll work 3 jobs. My missus will work 3 jobs as well, and we'll make sure. You see it all. But what are you doing? What are you actually doing? You're actually working 3 jobs and earning nothing. You're earning equity paper that you believe buys you something that you can't own in a system that is designed to do that. You can't own the property that you're working so hard to try and pay off. This is madness. You've got to, there's a line got to be drawn, and at the very least, you've got to start learning some responsibility for yourself, because it's hard enough to actually know what is going on and thinking, right, I know what rights I have and I know what I should be doing, but where do I start? Who do I talk to? You know, you try everything. You know, from when the first day I went in court, I had everything with the kitchen sink and everything into my court case. They were laughing at me, Jason, because everything was in my case by what they were talking about, because I hadn't got a clue what I was doing. And it's only through that trial and error that you actually learn. And waiting for somebody to do that, well, they'd have just stolen everything quicker if I'd have sat around waiting for somebody to do it, because there's nobody that can do it. When you're in that position, you're either going to do something or you're going to fade away. I couldn't just walk away from somebody who's saying, I'm taking this from you. And I'm saying, well, you can't, not even in your own rules, you can't. There's no law being broken, so you have no authority. And then you sat in your empty house going, what happened? What happened there? How the hell did I end up in this position? And then I remember sitting and I remember hearing conversations from different people. Well, they should bloody work hard or go and get themselves a job. They wouldn't lose their house then. That couldn't be. That's so lame cognitive dissonance to try and justify it to yourself that you don't have to pay any thought, that they're homeless through their own fault, their own stupidity. That's not what this is about. Those people who are actually thinking along those lines, they haven't got a clue. And if they're going to pass that on to their children, then, God help those children, because I've spoken to people about this debt-based economy that you can't pay for anything.
We've got
They've
result,
understood it.
We've got result.
Oh, go on.
24 votes for yes, 600 no's. I think it might have slightly been defeated.
That's for the backstop.
That's for the backstop. Yes,
That's just for the backstop.
That's the backstop. Yeah. So
there's no backstop.
Yeah. It's just. I just don't know what's going to happen. Listen, what I wanted to do is I wanted to involve people in the chat room. Now, I've noticed a couple of these ridiculous Brexit stories that have been bandied about, and I wondered if anybody's seen a Brexit story more ridiculous than the ones that we're going to talk about now. Well, that I'm going to bring up, and I'm going to ask Paul what he thinks about and whether he's seen them or not. But you've got this situation where they did that practice of a traffic jam full of lorries. They practiced that because they've never done that before, obviously, ever. Even though Operation Stack is often used, which is where lorries queue up on the motorway on going down to Dover, and they queue up on the motorway and it stops. So they've done that. They've been doing that for years and years and years, and then suddenly you get they have to practice, and they use, I think, 87 lorries, and they have to make a practice up and do a queue. And come on, for fuck's sake, it's queuing. It can't be that hard even for you. But that, first of all, that's one ridiculous one. And the second one, I want your opinion on this as well. I don't know if you've seen it, but people doing somebody who's doing boxers to survive Brexit survival kits.
Yeah, I've seen them. Is it a 2 months food supply or something like that? Or a month's supply?
I've no idea. I have no idea what's in it. But if someone can tell us what's in the Brexit survival kit, I hope there's a. Listen, if they want to survive it, I hope that there's a pair of bollocks in there, because anybody who's bought one of them just hasn't got any.
The thing is, it's because so many people are coming from angles of politics. If you look at it, I can't see how you can go into politics and expect answers to the problems that we've got from politics. Politics created this. Politics have protected this. Politics have exasperated this. Politics have lied to the people forever. You know, these are games. This is magic tricks. And they're using English language that people think that they understand, and they don't understand it. They don't understand the type of language they're using, what jurisdiction and law that they're using, how parents can be fined for their child not going to school when that child-in-law is your property. You co-created it. Nobody has any other claim on it. So what is happening? They are bastardizing judicial procedures and legislation and applying them to men and women that they're not applicable to. But because of all the brainwashing through the education system, people believe that this is law. And you cannot, you know, you've said that, you've seen it yourself, Jason. It's like smashing your face in a brick wall talking to some people. There's absolutely, you know, it doesn't matter what evidence you put down, how you show them, it just can't be true. They wouldn't do something like that. They couldn't hide it from everybody. There's nobody could keep us all the old rhetoric, because you are challenging people's beliefs, because mine included, all the belief systems are based on falsehoods. What truths do we actually know anymore? I mean, the biggest thing that I've actually learned in this lifetime is how little I actually know.
Yeah. Super Leeds in the chat room has said he's heard that you won't be able to make French toast anymore. So I suppose that would also extend to Brussels sprouts. So you'll be able to eat them as well. We'll not be able to go on holiday, and nobody will miss any of the income that they make from tourists in this country in Europe, because they've got, you know, spat dummy out, and just ridiculous. You get it all, don't you? From you won't be able to go on holiday. It's going to cost you a tenner to go on holiday. When you go on holiday, people who go to Turkey pay a tenner now. You go to Turkey, you pay £10 in cash when you get there. That's what they want. That's part of the going in there. And Turkey wants to be in EU. So then what they'll probably do, instead of stopping Turkey from doing it, they'll just make every EU country do it. You know, and this will be it. Yeah, you're coming from Britain, it's going to cost you a tenner. Wow, a fucking tenner. I probably spent that on the amount of shits that I've had to have in the airport, because I'm that freaking, because there's all, you know, drones everywhere, drones with transvestites and transsexuals hanging from them, you know. And then did you see that? Sorry, did you see that picture of that kid that was with that drag queen naked that's been doing? I mean, it's just
Queen Lactatia. Lactatia, as in lactating, I would presume.
Oh, right, okay. And even though he's a bloke and he can't lactate anyway.
You can't say that. He's allowed to have boobs that might have milk in that he could squeeze and lactate. You can't say things like that now, Jason, apparently. Do you know what? I can't even say one of the most bizarre things, because they just seem to get worse. But there was a woman who transgendered to a bloke, so she had the boobs taken off and all that, and then decided that she wanted a baby. She had a baby, and then she put prosthetic boobs on, so he could experience what it's like to feed a child. That's complicated. That's a really complicated life.
That's having your baps and eating them.
You see, your baps are barms over here, mate.
Oh yeah, well, you see, yeah. We're divided by the Yorkshire-Lancashire thing.
Divided by baps.
Just like everyone else is divided. Like you were saying earlier on, you get people and they might find out some information like this, but then when they go further in, and you know, they probably not delved into this very much, and then they go in and they find that there's division everywhere. And I know we've contributed to that in a small way, but by hosting people with different opinions. But you know, in my mind, in my mind, there's no comparison to the two interviews that we did. You can't compare them. They might as well not have been on the same subject, but there's still people following that around. And if someone comes and's not got the experience, then they're just going to think, "Oh, fuck this." You know, they can't even when they agree that something's bad, they still can't fucking agree. And
that's what the problem is. There's so much ego that is going round at the minute. That's what's causing the division. I mean, what we've done, we've supplied a platform for people to come on that other people can listen to information that they wouldn't ordinarily maybe hear or even bother looking at. But when we get people on who can come on and not only know what they're talking about, have substance, but they actually present evidence of stuff that people can go and look at, source links and stuff, that opposed to people who just come on and shout at people and call people names. I mean, it's gone on through the years, hasn't it? I mean, before I started on the show, we had people coming on and causing all kinds of egotistical stuff. That's got to drop away, Jason. Everybody's looking for the same thing, yet some people seem to have ulterior motives, or other people think other people have got ulterior motives. I only deal with people how they treat me, and I treat them, as they've treated me. When we've had people on the show, I can't recall anybody that we seriously fell out with or anything like that. We've had heated debates, but that's what this is meant to be about. We're ordinary blokes in a bonkers world thinking, shit, we need to talk about this stuff. So it's not about it. It's the people who've got this information. If you think that you've got the keys to the puzzle, and all of a sudden, if we all follow you and do your thing, everything will be great. That's got us into trouble so many times in the past. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep going, keep focused on what I've got to do in my life, and try and spread a bit of information than I had the day before.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm going to try and get Sky News up on here and then screen share. Probably Sky. I don't know if YouTube would be really pleased about that, but I'd just probably do it without any sound. But it's incredible. It is Sky News, isn't it, that you're watching?
Yeah. They're all trickling back in again.
Yeah. So they're voting on the deal now. So
yeah, it's still ongoing. That.
They're voting on Theresa May's deal, but they've got two pictures. They've got one picture of the chamber with all the MPs walking back into the chamber, and then the other, they've got a group of protesters, all with European flags. Incredible, isn't it? It's how they get away with it, and how biased they are is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that is. I mean, they're saying it's one of the biggest turnouts ever for any voting procedures. They're saying, oh, look, well, they've all got stakes in this, haven't they? You know, when it's pensions and stuff like that, unless it's their pensions, there's nobody there. Homeless people, nobody there. Child abuse, nobody there. But pensions for them, where it's all their little nest eggs, where, you know, these people who are unelected, the MEPs, they've got like villages, they've got like MEP villages with, you know, like Liverpool One or the Trafford Centre. They've got this massive shopping mall where people just go and shop. They don't, you know, they're getting all this money and they're not accountable for anything. And people want to give up all our rights to people that aren't accountable. I don't get it, Jason. I really don't. That sounds really stupid to me.
It does. It is really stupid. I don't know if we've got a result yet. Not yet. We haven't got one yet. But all the parasites are multiple parasites. That's what MPs should stand for. They're all back in the chamber. So after having voted, so it looks like we're going to get a result on Theresa May's Brexit deal imminently, I think.
Yeah, but Corrie's on, you know. Nobody will be interested. Yeah, I'm sure Corrie's on, unless Corrie's doing it as well.
Well, you see, you think that, don't you? But there's a group of pro-European protesters well, not protesters, whatever they fucking are, supporters, gimps. There's a bunch of gimps stood there with European flags. So it's like it's like holding up a flag that says, "Make me a slave, please, enslave me." You know, make me fucking hell. It's just doing me. It just does me boxing. We voted out. Let's just go out. We don't need a deal. We don't need a deal. That guy that you sent that you posted the interview with that I was talking about earlier on, he said that there was already in place that we could trade with the EU anyway, in the same way. I think it was called the Canada Treaty or something like that, but it was the Canada trades freely with the European Union, and we'd be able to do the same.
They're never going to not trade with us. They were never ever gonna do that.
No.
It's about what we put into the EU, and it's about that financial hub not being under the control of that super state. That super state being all civil law means there is no rights for any man or woman anymore. You're all corporate. That is it. I can't understand why people want to be dealt with as corporations, as dead entities, as corpses. I don't understand why people would want to identify as that when it puts them in a liability position. We've got to learn how to change this round, because all they've done is take an axe and put regulations in that are generated towards commercial agreements. So the regulations take things from companies. You identify as a company, so they're doing nothing wrong.
We've got to a point in what you might call it civilization, but I wouldn't call it civilization. But we've got to a point as a society where this has not happened overnight. This has been done over a number of years, a number of generations, and each one given more and more for less and less, or actually what they feel like is less and less. But you know, they're not. Everything's been moved out of. Everything's been removed from them. Or any conscience has been, from a lot of people, has been moved. It's been removed. And so it's how many generations is it going to take us to turn it round? Oh, hang on, I think we might have got a result. Turn the TV up, love. Oh, who?
2. Nose to the left. 432.
202 to the 202 yes, 402 no.
202 yes, 402 no.
432.
Sorry, 432.
No deal.
No deal, and someone's resigned. Who did say resign? Well, do apologise. Who?
Is this one called Purse Glove?
No idea. No. Anyway, someone's resigned as well, so it's a no on the deal. Is that shocking news for you, Webby?
I'm a little bit behind. I'm just seeing what Burko's saying now.
Okay.
He's a proper knobhead, John Burko.
Oh yeah, God, my God, that stunt that he pulled with the vote. Remember God, it was when he allowed a vote, didn't he? When he shouldn't have done, and it were a right kerfuffle. It were one day last week. But yeah, Burko, he is a proper wanker, and his wife's not much better either.
Well, he's done everything he can, Jason, to drag this out and get something going into it. He's pulled all the stops.
Here we go. Look, while we're doing that, anyway, I'll just say hello to some people in the chat room. Newbie's in there. She's finally come along. I don't know if she's got an answer for a Super Leeds, but we'll probably find that out through the grapevine a little bit later on. Society of the Spectacles in there as well, and he says that the BBC have got Alistair Creepy Campbell, war criminal, commenting. So we all know he's a fucking a Remainer, and he's a staunch Remainer. He's he's part of that club, and he knows that when. He knows that he's going to do what he's a Blairite, and it's just a Blairite is just going to be another word for cunt in future.
It's what the problem we've got though. The Blairites, the Labour, and the Conservative, you might as well call them all Blairites, because New Labour is Thatcher was raving about that was her greatest achievement. New Labour, Tony Blair. These people are all unpicked. Andy Burnham, who used to be my MP. Now the mayor of Manchester, he was put on a pedestal by Tony Blair. Oh, he's going places, this guy. Yeah, he's going places, but he's not working for people. None of them are working for you. They're all working for the corporation, and they all have put themselves in position of master. We have decided we're going to accept the servant's role. We act as the servant's role. We're taught how to act in the servant's role. We even protest acting as a servant and saying, I don't wish to do that. Yeah, do it. Get gone. This is complete madness. We've got to find a balance here, Jason, without what you were saying, going straight to pitchforks and going fighting, because that will create the chaos that they want. You start shutting off food supplies and stuff like that. Asda's empty, Tesco's are empty, Lidl's empty. You're running out of options because nobody grows food. We even pay our farmers to not grow. So we could cut our own throats, so to speak, by being kettled, if you like, in towards the trap.
And there was when we got this Brexit referendum result, there was a little glimmer of hope, weren't there? That perhaps we'd turned a corner, but like you say, it's 2 years on. They certainly know how to stall and how to keep what they don't want to happen. So, because you know what, if it had been the other way around and we were out and we were voting whether to go in, they wouldn't have been. If we'd have voted in, there wouldn't have been any call for a second referendum. For a start, the people that voted Brexit, the people that wanted, that understood it, understand that it's your sovereignty, and you don't just give that up to not even elected. They're not even elected MEP. It's not the MEPs, but the elected commissioners that are out there. The commissioners that write all the policy and all the laws and everything. And it's just the MEPs. It's just like it's almost like a pantomime. It's just there to distract you away. You see Jean-Claude Juncker, and you think to yourself, well, hang on a minute. This is supposed to be a super state, a superpower. This guy's pissed as a fart, and he's really supposed to be leading this. He's president. That's
at 9:10 in the morning that they're already holding him up.
Yeah,
honestly, it's madness. I mean, you go back to Ireland. They had a referendum in the 70s. They voted against it. They had a second referendum. They put loads of propaganda in a bit behind it, and they voted to go in. So, we see that if they don't get what they want, they prolong it, they drag it out, they try and make people bored with it, and in the end, they just go, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
We see it so often.
It's twice. They've done that twice as well, haven't they? Because Ireland first voted no for in the referendum for the Lisbon Treaty, I believe.
Yeah.
And then we're told that no, you've got that wrong. You have to go back and do it again and come back this time with the right answer, which is essentially what a second referendum is. I mean, once they did it in Denmark as well. I think it's been. I saw a list of places that have had referendums on the EU.
Corbyn's tabled no confidence motion.
Oh, well, Jeremy Corbyn has tabled a motion of no confidence in the government because it can't be in Theresa May because it's actually in the government. So it's going to be interesting times ahead. Personally, I would have liked to see Jeremy Corbyn jump over the dispatch box and just Theresa May, fucking bastard, get down, you cunt.
Just not a once.
That'd be an easier and less painful way to. I'd much prefer to watch that than all this arguing bollocks and making up stupid. You know, having Owen Jones on TV. I don't even get it.
He's proper cringe-worthy. That lad is. He makes me cringe when I listen to him droning on. It's it baffles me. I'm surprised he ever. If he listened to himself, I'm sure he'd bore himself.
Oh yeah, he probably would, but you can't say that about him because that'd be I don't know, homophobic, transphobic.
Why is he gay?
And he's so eh?
Is he gay?
I don't know actually. No, it doesn't look it, does it? It doesn't sound it. It doesn't act it.
Hey, pardon the pun, but it never came across like that.
Hey, you never come across a little queer?
How very un-PC you're being tonight.
I know. I'm just trying to keep one eye on this shit that's going on here.
No confidence motion debate tomorrow.
Right, so there's going to be there's going to be a debate tomorrow on the no confidence vote, and judging by the way that Theresa May's just completely been hammered, that I can't see that she's got much time left.
No,
I don't know why she's lasted this long, to be fair.
Well, it's just they've got to start editing the movie, haven't they? They've got to start putting the ending together now. You know, Theresa May was never going to be the ending. I'm sure Jeremy Corbyn's not going to be it either, but I still know people who think that Jeremy Corbyn's going to come in on his white horse and save everybody. I just can't see it myself, but I'm always open to being proved wrong, Jason.
Yeah, same man's commented in the chat room, owned Jones. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, he seems to be just gets on everywhere. I don't know why. They never invite me on you one, Webby, do they? You know, because who we have for the Brexiteers, we've got Paul Webster and Jase Holmes, Raconteurs News, and on the other side we've got Owen Jones, reporter in the Guardian, and well, just general lefty soft. Fucking don't even know what he is, man. I mean, come on, really, seriously. It's how do people not just see how biased it is? And I know I've made this point once already tonight, but we haven't got a guest on, so we're just trying to ramble, aren't we? We're just trying to ramble his way through the evening, and you know, and we don't really want dead air because. Dead air is not very good, and I'm not a superstitious man. I'm a little bit stitious, but not superstitious. So I don't think we want some dead air. I'm just rambling on, but it's just so how you can't see that it's you know, some people they'll go and you just want to just go look at that. Oh, and yeah, oh, you'll point to a store. Look at that. Look at that. And oh yeah, Jordan's had a boob job. No, not that. The other thing, because it's all set, it's all put together. So if you've got a serious story, there'll be a light-hearted entertainment type story right at the very side of it to distract you away.
Or a cat doing a really funny thing.
Oh, cats do funny things, you know.
They do. You're right.
They do, don't they? Do.
They do that, don't they?
They do.
But you know, if obviously we are talking a lot about this Brexit thing and this deal now that has been kicked well and truly into touch. People are posting now. What now? This is the biggest defeat they've ever seen in history. What's going on? You know, and so these people know that there's something. You know, there's something afoot. And I don't know what it is, Jason. I don't know if it's this yellow vest thing or if it was the referendum that shocked them. I don't actually think they thought that they were going to be put in this position. I'm not saying that they wouldn't have had a plan for it in case, but I'm not too sure whether it's caught them a little bit, not blind, but it's. I think what's happened is I think it's shook people, you know, it shook a fur demographic awake to something's not right here, and all of a sudden they're starting to look in the direction. And it's the, you know, it's the old adage, the emperor has no clothes. They're all running around bollock naked, and they're thinking they're in elegant clothing, and there's nothing wrong, and everybody can see it.
Well, you say everybody can see it.
Even the ones who aren't interested in watching Coronation Street. I know people who agree with exactly what I've just said, but they don't know what to do. And they aren't going to be the first ones to do it. They've got kids, they've got bills to pay. Even though you can't pay them, it doesn't matter when you explain it to them because of the fear. That's what it is. And when that fear comes, that's, you know, it can hold you in a state where nothing will ever change. You'll constantly hold on to that fear, and everything around you will always be fearful. So nothing good is ever going to replace that fear. And society is engineered for us to permanently be in that fight or flight mode, even if it's a very subtle thing, you know, not having enough money for this, not having for, all the bills are going up, council tax is going up. So they constantly keep you in that. And because we give that value to these pieces of paper, we give that imaginary value, we hold that above everything. So that's why the money is the root of all evil. You're chasing pieces of paper, you're working for nothing. That's the root of it. But people say, well, I got my house, I got my car, I went on holiday, I wouldn't have been able to do all that. I went to the shop and I bought a loaf of bread. I couldn't do that without having money. But it's easy to say it that way. But it's completely negating the fact that you don't understand how the economy works. I didn't. But when you actually understand it, you understand just how easily these people are ripping you off through your own ignorance. And that's all it's been. Your parents were kept ignorant, grandparents, blah, blah, blah. It's 2, maybe 3 generations, tops, to change history.
Yeah, it is. It's not certainly not going to be something that happens overnight. Society of the Spectacles written in the chat room that Andalusia voted for a far-right party, which equals big news. 44% didn't vote at all, and it wasn't mentioned. Yeah, that's the bias again, isn't it? It's that 44% didn't vote, didn't get a mention.
Yeah, so what will be the headlines tomorrow? It's all going to be that this is the biggest defeat, blah, 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 and people are going to be talking about it at work and saying, what do we do? What's going to happen now then? You know, there is no deal at this moment in time. The EU said that we're not coming back to it. There's nothing here for you now. So we need to just start to just set up trade deals. Would you like to trade with us? I'm pretty sure that the countries will want to trade. I can't see it. It's never been any different unless they're going to then treat us as an enemy. But considering they've retained our troops under their banner, we've allowed that. Even if we'd have got the deal, that would have been allowed. What happens with the troops now? They were keeping 3,500 troops back in case of this no deal being voted. Are they going to panic now? Are there going to be more troops on the streets? Everybody's going to be talking about it.
Yeah, it's certainly. I don't know who does this know to this deal, this Brexit deal? Who does it benefit the most? Does it benefit pro-Brexit? Does it benefit anti-Brexit? You know, Remainers, these staunch Remainers. Does it benefit the people that are asking for people's vote that we already had? But you know, the people that want a second referendum. You know, who does it benefit the most, in your opinion?
God, that's an hard one because there's so many different people got different dogs in the fight. For me, I was always looking at it from the jurisdictional law type. Not only do I not want to give my rights and complete unaccountability over to somebody in a different country that is going to pass laws that are going to rule me. But I have no remedy to take anybody to a court because it's all going to be commercial courts. Everything is going to be business because we have been under civil law, whereas we've still got common law. Believe it or not, you cannot do this to a man or a woman. In law, you can't do it. But they are not treating you as man or woman. They are bastardized this law that we pass our consent to in so many different ways. We've got to unravel that. If we unravel that and take control of that, of the money supply, you've got over 3/4 of your problems disappearing.
So the answer to my original question then was that bloke that's selling Brexit survival kits. He's the man that wins tonight. I think he's going to be selling. He's going to be selling loads and loads and loads of them in it to the snowflakes. So
there will be people that will be panicking now. You know. You've seen. Yeah, I've seen some of the live streams that of the lads and girls who are around London, making sure that there's at least a Brexit feel about it, because there's a guy though who's been sponsored. He's got 22 grand on GoFundMe already, and he's just stood there with waving the EU flag with some billboards and stating we should stay in the EU. Somebody's GoFunded him so he can not work and go and do that. Yeah. There's people going down there who are trying to fit 40-hour weeks in and still turn up to try and say we need to get out of this stranglehold. I really don't get people wanting to give up their freedoms and their rights for what they believe is a false economy. I don't get it.
No, mate. Well, anyway, listen, we've got to an hour, so let's have a record. Or in fact, we'll have a couple of records. Just gives a bit of time to, replenish some ideas in our brains and do a little look around and talk some more shit in the second hour. You're listening to Raconteurs News with Jase, Holmes and Paul Webster every Monday and Tuesday night from 7 o'clock. If you didn't hear us last night, then check that out. A really interesting guy, a young guy called Taylor Buemler. Yeah, 24-year-old guy, pretty switched on. A really interesting chat that we had with him last night. So we'll be back after a couple of records. We'll be back then after them.
Hello, this is Heath Dweft, and I listen to Raconteurs News. Taking a goddamn nuisance of myself, poking my nose in everybody's business. Oh God, will I ever learn? 'Cause it always backfires on me. I can't control myself no more. So in order to just stay and let it go out, every day is trouble. Every day is trouble for me. Is it my voice or my face or the clothes that I wear? 'Cause something's getting me noticed in a bad way. I must say, I ain't looking for a shit, but it finds me. Particularly when I'm out driving. Slow down, you know. It's a runabout, mate, not a racetrack. How the fuck did you pass your test? You're a pest. You got my heart beating in my chest. No wonder I'm so irate. Why don't you fucking indicate? I wish I had a shit gun for it at your window, bitch. Making a goddamn nuisance of myself, poking my nose in everybody's business. Oh God, will I ever learn? 'Cause it always backfires on me. I can't control myself no more. So in order to stay and never go out, every day is trouble. Every day is trouble for me. So I try to get my shit done quick. Don't want to waste too much time on the streets with the bricks. I know they're gonna take my energy, give me road rage till I commit a felony. Score some weed till I drive home readily. Hang my car keys and I calm down steadily. Plays on my mind when I let them get to me. Load up on some G, get snow, write a melody. Start getting high, having less of the hunches. Put it on hold while I answer the munchies. Get about the gigs while I'm grinding the bunches. Really need to lunch to roll with the punches.
Algún día me perdonan, aquí te estaré esperando, porque yo era muy feliz cuando tú abrías los ojos. Andaba por la noche y andaba muy perdido, me faltaban que tus ojos me mostraran el camino, caminar, porque yo era muy feliz cuando tú abrías los ojos.
Making a goddamn nuisance of myself, poking my nose in everybody's business. Oh God, will I ever learn? Cause it always backfires on me. I can't control myself no more. So what do? Just stay and never go out. Every day is trouble, every day is trouble for me. Every day is trouble. Every day is trouble, making a goddamn nuisance of myself, poking my nose in everybody's business. Oh God, will I ever learn? Cause it always backfires on me. I can't control myself no more. So I do? Just stay and never go out. Every day is trouble, 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 every day is trouble for me. Florence Nightingales, not enough Robin Hoods. Too many halos, not enough heroes coming up with the goods. So you thought you'd like to change the world, decided to stay a jumble say for the poor, for the poor. So you thought you'd like to change the world, decided to stay a jumble say for the poor, for the poor. It's a waste of time if you know you try to shake your box in front of the queen. Cause the first is right out first. It's a waste of time if you know what they mean. Not enough hands on hearts. Too many ready to call it a day before the day starts. So you thought you'd like to see them heal. God will be the stage and appeal for the poor, for the poor. So you thought you'd like to see them heal. God will be the stage and appeal for the poor, for the poor. It's a waste of front of the queen. Cause her purse is right at first. It's a waste of time if you know what they mean. It's a waste of time if you know what they mean. Try shaking your box in front of the queen. Cause her purse is fat and bursting at the seams. It's a waste of time if you know what they mean.
And welcome back to Raconteurs News on this Tuesday night. It's the 15th of January 2019. We've just had a couple of records. Again, I mentioned Heath Dweft, my old mate, the raconteur laureate, as we call him, because he writes all the stuff. And I know there's been a few requests for him to do a few more songs this year, so hopefully we'll see a few more songs from Heath. But I know he's quite busy at the moment. He's got band stuff, and he's been doing some other stuff as well. I think he's still doing it. He were before. So hopefully he'll be able to rub one out for us before the year is out. And just to coin a phrase that somebody put in the chat room, it's tonight. It's democracy night. We are here, and there's just been Theresa May's just had a huge, massive defeat in the House of Commons for her bill, the Brexit deal. It's been repealed. Whatever's next, God knows what's going to happen. But apparently, Twitter has exploded, and it's going nuts. And people saying that, you know, there's people rubbing one out over the result. I don't know which. Again, I don't know who wins apart from the guy with the Brexit survival kits. I think he's probably the only winner tonight. Dead air. See, I did it then.
You did what? You all locked up this end, eh? I missed about the last 10 seconds of that.
Oh, did you? All right, okay. Well, I'll just. I was actually boring myself, so.
Well, I've just noticed now that due to the what am I bringing the Jews into it for? I'm not being anti-Semitic, but due to this voting tonight, the pound has recovered against the dollar. So, you know, Brexit hasn't really done us that much damage just yet. You know, the pound has now just recovered against the dollar. So, you know, these are the games that they play. You've got to understand the ones that they're voting against, the ones that wanted all this control, are still the ones that control the money supplies. You've got a quote here that's just coming from Jean-Claude Juncker. I very much doubt he's, you know, there's grammar in this and everything. There's no way he's done this himself. And he quotes, "I take note with regret of the outcome of the vote in the House of Commons this evening. I urge the UK to clarify its intentions as soon as possible. Time is almost up."
Clarify its intentions. Well, we voted out, so we'll be leaving without a deal. They've voted down the deal, so it's no deal. It's simple as that. You know,
well, see, that's the point, though. He's left it open again, hasn't he? Because he said time's nearly up. What do you mean? It was meant to be up 2 years ago when we said let's get out. You know, people have got to have some faith that people can do this. We don't have to listen to these people. These people don't know any better than what we do. They really, really don't, and they are not working for us. It doesn't matter how many X's you put in boxes. These people, when they get to where they're going, they do not represent us. They're never going to. The system's not designed that way. So, but people will fight tooth and nail, Jason. You've seen it yourself, where they'll fight tooth and nail to defend this system that is just sucking the life's blood out of everything.
Listen, just another comment in the chat room where Super Leeds is a little bit concerned. He says, does it now mean I can't marry a Swedish bird?
Oh God!
I'm sure you can, Leeds. So don't. To be fair, I'm thinking it's probably not going to be applicable in any point. But you know, you never know.
Well, going back to that, what you were saying about they want to charge you so much to go to any country that you want to visit. Mexico have got it right. They let you in for nothing. You've got to pay to get out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything right now on the media front, everything is Brexit.
It's Project Fear, isn't it? It's Project Fear.
Everything. I mean, you know, it seems to have gone a little bit unnoticed that gunmen stormed a Kenyan hotel and started shooting at people and, you know, blown cars up and everything. These Somalians, that's not really been prominent today because of what's going on.
Yeah, I can see that. 5 bodies seen at the Kenyan hotel. Yeah,
it's days like this when you've got to keep your eye on what you might be missing. You know, what are they burying? Because it's always a good day to bury bad news, isn't it? When there's something like this going on.
Well, you see, it's gone really nuts, and I suppose there's people that are perhaps not interested in politics that have been watching this today, one eye, and it makes you wonder what they make of it. I mean, it's just popped up on my phone, a news story. I never get these. It just popped up, and it just said that Theresa May's Brexit deal suffers worst defeat. Blah blah blah.
That's all that's coming up on my feed now. I mean, see, I've just told you about one news article that told you about the pound recuperating against the dollar. There's an article breaking in the Independent now saying the pound plummets as Commons overwhelmingly rejects Theresa May's Brexit. So we've got this, whoa, you know, it's nobody knows. We've just got to watch this game play out. The show is awful. The actors are terrible. We've just got to watch it play out, unfortunately. You know, we've given these people far too much credit and we've given them far too much power. And they're going to wield that power for themselves. They're not there for us. And we've got to find a way to wrestle that power back. And the best way to do it is to not be involved in violence. But, you know, they seem to have covered enough bases to push people into a corner where they are trapped and they've just, there's only one option but to fight for a lot of these people. And, you know, when they're prepared for that, that's, you know, that can be a dangerous route as well. I mean, I think it was, I don't know if it was last week, because the weeks seem to have fell into each other, but within the last few weeks, one of the, I think is he classed as far right or far left? I'm not sure, but one of the German MPs was beaten almost to death. You know, and do you remember when Germany was in the shithole that it was in between two, when Hitler almost got killed, when they almost assassinated him, his popularity blew up immensely. And you see the same stuff happening now in Europe, in different countries. It's all repeating.
Yes, it's an uncertain future that we face, isn't it? It's got to be resolved one way or other. It's either we acquiesce and we go back and we, you know, we end up back into a situation where there's a few of us, you know, trying to fight and trying to do whatever we can. And, you know, have people been drawn out of this whole Brexit debacle brought out, and then sort of now they're wanting to push people back, you know, now go back to sleep. And I don't know if that was made. I mean, that would, if the referendum had gone Remain, everyone would have been pushed back. I don't know if it's like like the point you were making earlier. Is this the way that they wanted it, or is this the way that it's turned out, despite you know, them thinking that they were going to win? They were a shoo-in to win. It would Remain. We're going to win. That's what all bookies were saying. That's what all pundits were saying. That's what, and then we get a leave vote. Now, did it catch them? Did it blindside them? You know, so what they did with the referendum is they pulled a lot of people who wouldn't be interested in politics and probably not interested in voting, pulled them out, and then said, "Here you go. There's it," and that's the big thing that happened in your life that you took part in, and then hopefully then afterwards they'd all go back to the normal, to the life that they had before. And so it could be a situation where, like you say, they are losing control. But you know, it's how quickly they're losing control and the way that they're losing control, and also for example, we've now got MPs and media members saying that they need security. They need to have security. They need protecting. So they'll all say that they were democratically elected, that they were voted for, but. So why do you need security? Gaddafi never had any security. He'd be up on back of a Toyota waving at people. People would be running, firing the guns in there as well. Can you imagine that were happening? With Theresa May, and there's people, and she's up back her thing, and she's delivered Brexit, and you know, it's just the whole thing. How that but that makes me suspicious of the incident last week when we had people shouting. Brexit wankers, something, I don't know, I can't remember what it were, calling that woman a Nazi.
Nazi, yeah.
That woman that called President Trump a dickhead, and she takes offence at being called a Nazi, you know, and when she'll dish that out as well, she'll dish out the word Nazi about anybody. But, you know, we found ourselves in this situation where we've got these whinging, whining, weedy little people who are being protected by thugs and are manipulating everybody to try to you know, they do understand that people love a good victim. A victim is worth 100 heroes, I'd say, because that's what people allude to these days. But yeah, we're in a situation now where we've got members of parliament. What did you think of that last week? That when they were it were on TV and they were protesting and shouting stuff.
It highlights something. You know, if you go along the there's no such thing as bad media coverage. That, you know, at least that he's got some points out there. But again, you know, there's a big thing being made about it. I don't know how we're going to change things by following people around calling them Nazis. It's all right to prove a point, but if that's the end of the game, then it's going to be a moot point. But to take that forward now and actually start engaging with them rather than just shouting at them, asking questions that are going to make them look, you know, they're going to make them look like Diane Abbott, because they're not going to have a clue what you're talking about. None of these MPs understand anything about law and legislation. They understand nothing. It's the same as a policeman. No requirement to understand law to be a policeman. You know, there's so much that's got to change, Jason. Really, as it's a fundamental shift, and I'm not sure there's a lot of people that can actually imagine how to work this system without it running like it does. You know, it's how do people give themselves worth when they've been taught they have to earn something, when they're actually given some worth and they just need to be part of something? You know, we're not engineered for that, are we?
No, I don't think we are, but we've been conditioned, haven't we? We've been remapped. People's brains have been remapped. All the instincts have been took out of them. I mean, people don't trust their instincts. I mean, come on, what does your instinct say to you? Are we on a ball spinning round? I don't care. Listen, I don't care what your position is, right? Your instincts say no, you're not, right? Don't they?
Yeah.
That's your instincts, but we've been led away from his instincts. So you don't. People going on gut instincts. It's all been.
It's people who are a lot cleverer than me and you have already sorted it, Jason. We don't need to think about it. Cleverer people than us have already sussed it. Yeah, you know, I don't think there was an interesting point that somebody made earlier today, where they were saying it wasn't that this guy was saying that he was a flat earther, but what he was actually struggling with, because what this guy was saying was, I believe the earth is round. He said, what I'm struggling is to actually find evidence to prove that it's round. He said, that's what I'm struggling with. He says, I can't prove that it's flat, and I'm not saying that it's flat because I believe it is a sphere. He said, but I'm struggling to prove that it is. Well, that's what both parties are struggling with. The only thing that seemingly that has been experimented on was the Michelson-Morley experiment, which showed that the Earth hadn't moved. That's the only experiment that I'm aware of off the top of my head that has shown anything to do with a stationary Earth. Now, they said that's a null point or a null experiment, or it doesn't count. It's what everybody would say if they didn't want anything to come out about that. And science is now that religion where people fall in line. I mean, I've never, some of the the fraud that I've heard that's going on within paleontology and artifacts and stuff like that. You know, we mentioned about the giants' bones. They found thousands of bones. You know, thousands of these bones that have just all gone missing, and people can't talk about it because you're not meant to talk about it. And it's the same with all these subjects we're talking about now. You can't talk about it, but people can upload information, like the guy who's calling an MP a Nazi. That information was uploaded with it. Well, it was live. It was streamed live. So people can get all the points and the issues out into the open, and people can discuss it. If we can drop the egos off, we can certainly get to a remedy for everybody.
If we can get the egos off, says a man in a designer black hat.
Designer? Do you really think this is designer, mate?
No, obviously not. Obviously not. Anyway, let's have a look what's going on in let's have a look in the chat room. People talking about snowflakes. What did you guys think of the show yesterday? Oh, I think that's Taylor asking the room, the chat room, not us, because you don't really. You can't tell. Super Leeds thinks it's flat. The Earth is flat. So who is going to argue with Super Leeds? It's flat. So newbie, if you're listening and you are going to get married to Super Leeds, he's a flat earther, and he knows it's flat. So.
I'm just reading an article that the DUP has come out and we will support the government in confidence vote. That's all they've come out with a statement of.
Well, they're spending the £1 billion or whatever it were.
Yeah.
On 5G stuff.
But again, when we start to talk about this now, I don't think that that's shocking that we weren't going to stick with the deal. What I was worried about was what was going to be in the build-up if we didn't get this deal, because they were pushing for that second referendum, another referendum. We've not got what we wanted. Let's do it again until we get what we wanted. The desperation that they were doing, the money that they put on to GoFundMe and Brexit, the Remain bus and all this kind of stuff, they pumped all that money in to stay in. If they weren't bothered, or if the Brexit vote was expected, then I don't think they would have done what they've done. But I think something slipped, Jason. I can't quite put my finger on it because it's so much of a mess. You couldn't point in any direction really at the minute.
We effectively don't have a government at the moment, do we?
No, and you know, Have we ever had a government? Because the policies that they're talking about, the policies that they deal with, have nothing to do with us. The only policies and legislation that we end up dealing with, the parking fines, speeding tickets, these are all at local levels with local police, local councils, and local judiciary. So people are going into London again. You're going into a separate country to protest if you're going into the inner city. There's all these complications that need to, we've got to strip everything down. I just don't, I'm like everybody else, Jason. I don't know where to start either, but at least let's talk about it. Let's strike a debate, and don't come on and say, I know what to do. Follow me. We'll do this, because that's not going to get people to want to follow you. It's about giving people information and allowing them to grow in confidence and be able to do it themselves. It's the old adage about, teach a man to fish, blah, blah, blah. We can't keep expecting somebody to come along and save us, because when you're relying on people, and this goes back throughout history, when you rely on people for something that you don't understand or know about, then there's a lot of power that's held over you, from having people's hearts cut out in sacrifice so that the eclipse will go and the sun will come back. You've got a bit of that knowledge, you can control people. That has just changed through history, and it's just a different type of control now. And they're looking like they're wanting to go full on, not physically, but mentally and emotionally, by either connecting us through microchips and the 5G system, or us not being in part of this system. It's got to come to fruition one way or another, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, it has. Like you say, it's everything's all interconnected, and there's talk about being able to put thoughts into people's minds. I know that there's things that it can do that change people's moods, because I've felt like it's happened to me. I felt like it's happened to me. I said before, sometimes just like a black cloud just comes down. So I don't know whether that's. I'm not saying I'm being targeted or all that daft like that. It's just that the things that perhaps I've been interacting with on the internet or on social media, or perhaps even on TV, that's triggered that and then made that happen. So it's certainly a bit of a shithole, isn't it? We've not got a government. America's shut down.
Well, that's not changed. The only thing that's changed in America is the fact that the civil servants aren't getting paid. So the National Guard's not getting paid, and the White House people aren't getting paid. That's because the government's shut down, because there's nobody to pay them. But everything else, if people went and did the jobs, nothing would change. Everything would still be there. It's talking about those pieces of paper. Again, it doesn't need to happen. It's a showpiece. There's something. It's almost like they're trying to show you something and say, keep looking at that, keep looking at that, and they're looking behind the curtain saying, have you got that sorted yet? Yeah, keep looking at this. Yeah, have you got it sorted? It's like they're looking to what next they can put in front of us, because everybody is now deflecting everything. 5 years ago, people were calling you an idiot for talking about chemtrails. Now they're talking about using strategic aerosol injection to dim the sunlight. It's madness. This always comes out. The truth always ends up going through the same phases. People who I know were saying that's a load of bullshit are going, whoa, I can't believe they're actually doing this. It's nothing new. It's nothing new, and they don't keep it secret. They write about it. They tell you what they're going to do.
Uni. Oh yeah, he's Taylor from yesterday, who was on the show. He's just put a comment in the chat room. I hope the government stays shut down. It was an interesting point he made yesterday. I said point, and I sounded like a right point. It was an interesting point.
Do you want some coffee with that point?
Point, man. Yeah, what a point, hey, man. Yeah, but I thought it was interesting, the point that he'd not heard of the of the yellow vest movement, and you would have thought that you know the stuff that he's been looking at, it would have been all over everywhere, but that's really interesting. I don't know whether that's a media blackout because they don't want. I mean, you really don't want to piss Americans off, do you? And start doing that, 'cause then you've got, you know, shootouts and all sorts of different crap going on. So, what do you make of that? Do you think some seeping through and perhaps Taylor's just missed it, or while he's been, you know, doing other things, you know, viewing other videos and stuff?
No, I think it's like what we discussed earlier. He's found a particular part that he's getting his teeth into at the minute. You know, the JFK stuff and how that links in with all the banking systems and the wars and everything. And it's very difficult to chew your way through all that while still trying to start on something new. And as he said, he's only been doing this a couple of years. So, you know, people have been doing this a lot longer. I mean, you've been doing the 9/11 for 15 years. You know, that's how long you've been intently looking into it. There's nothing you haven't read. Anything that new that comes out, all it does is just, you know, join another dot from years ago that, oh, I remember that because of this, this, and this. So that information's out there. It's all been put out. It's all available. And plus, because people have done that work consciously, the vibration's risen. So people are finding it more palatable, or at least coming onto their radar, so to speak.
Hairy Cookie Monster, has written, hey Cookie, my old pal, he's put that the UK has a D notice on the yellow vests news. You know, this kerfuffle and the way that they've been over the top with the coverage of this thing that's been going on tonight. What is that going to make more people aware of this yellow vest thing? Because if there's a D notice, then it's, you know, it's not your normal guy is not going to see anything, is he? He's not going to see anything apart from he's going to watch Sky News because he knows that this is important, because it's been on radio every pair of plates all day, and that's the only thing he's heard while he's been at work slaving away, and he's just heard that this thing on, so he thinks that he needs to be watching it because it's some sort of really important thing. Now, I noticed that they had like a bunch of people, and it looked to me like one of them. The shot looked like it was one of those situations. You've seen the meme, haven't you, where they'll do a shot and there'll be a shot of people and all with the European flags and everything, and then you get a shot from further back and you can see it's just a really small number of people. That's what it looked like to me, a really small number of people that was just sort of really in shot. So it made it look like there were more. So I can't remember where I were going somewhere with that then. And it's just completely dropped out of my head. Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah. So it's all stage managed. It's all set up. It's all theatre, and
it's very Games of Thrones. Very Games of Thrones.
I've not watched that. See, I've not watched Game of Thrones.
You'll get it. You'll get the politics straight away, mate. I'm just reading.
I won't watch it.
Hey?
I won't, because I won't watch it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you did watch it, you would get you'd get the game. Juncker has just come out and said that the EU president says that UK remaining is only option if a deal is impossible, and no one wants no deal.
Juncker said that.
Juncker said that, yeah.
He didn't fucking ask me. I wanted no deal.
Yeah, well, no, he says no one wants a no deal. Yeah, but you don't matter. You're just a slave in the galley. You just get back to doing what you should be doing, not interfering.
Yeah, I'm a slave in the galley, aren't I? I'm a ruined one, so so I'm not doing much slaving at the moment. So, anybody got any questions for us in the chat room? We can. We've got about 25 minutes to fill. Really, I mean, it's been a bit of a strange one tonight. Just myself. We've been following the news and covering the news and as it happens, which is not something that we do, even though we've got news in our name.
What's your opinion on what Taylor's just asked in the chat room about? Do we think whether Arnold Schwarzenegger is part of the New World Order, or do we just think that he's stupid?
Well, of course, he's part of the New World Order, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely part of the New World Order.
Definitely. Oh, he was a big Nazi lover, Arnold.
He's married to a Kennedy as well, isn't he?
He is, and I believe, what's his name? Chris Pratt, the actor. I think he's getting married to Schwarzenegger's daughter.
All right. Well, have you renewed your subscription to Heat magazine?
I've no need to, mate. My news feed's better than any bloody magazine stand I could ever walk past. I get everything from the Daily Star to the Financial Times and Forbes.
Oh dear. Well, so what are you? Oh right. Oh, Super Leeds wants to know what gender we are this week.
I'm still male. I've always identified as male. I've been a lesbian for quite a long time though, I must admit.
Eric Cookie Monsters, he said he's mostly transcendental. Very good. And it's me. I don't know what I'm identifying as tonight. I always have to check my nipples first. Yep. Still got all three, so I'm all right. I'm just a geezer. I'm male today. That's what I'm identifying as. Just to please the wife.
I don't understand the three nipple thing. Does that make you special or anything like that? Have you got superpowers?
Well, of course not. Apart from I can listen. I can count more than you on my nipples. But not on my legs, not on my toes. I can't.
Have we got any guests lined up?
Well,
from your end, I know you were waiting on Neil Sanders. We've got Michael Doherty on next Tuesday.
Oh right, okay.
So he's on for Tuesday night. So we're still Monday to sort out. I don't know if you've got any ideas about that, or if there's anybody in the chat room or anything like that.
I had a message from Neil this morning actually, and he's going to have a look in his diary and sort a date out. So we've had contact from him. I know he's a busy guy. Should be an interesting show. Getting to some of that Cambridge Analytica stuff as well as what's going on at the moment, which is just God insanity. An owl with nipples. Yeah. Triple nip. I haven't really got three nipples. Okay, I've only got two. All right, so it's just a joke.
Oh no, it's one of those urban legends that's gone round the internet now.
A little bit like the tequila show.
Yeah, the hidden show that nobody knows about.
Yes, remember you were looking for it, weren't you?
Yeah, I'm not sure if Andy found it.
I've got it. I found it.
Did you? Where did you find it?
Well, Andy found it and gave it me, and I told him not to give him anybody else.
Why? Because you don't want to be blackmailed.
So I've got the only copy, and then what I'll do is I'll set some instructions up upon my death for it to be uploaded to YouTube, so people can watch it. Because I think that's probably. Do you know what? I've had it as well for a few weeks, and I have just not dared listen. I just daren't listen.
You'll cringe, mate.
I just daren't listen.
What you'll have to do, Jason, is you go, if you're listening to this, I'm dead now.
Yeah, so don't write in.
Listen, don't ring in. You might be charged for the call. I'm dead now. Well, I'll tell you what, mate. That's a bit of a turnaround for the night. That, I mean, I expected it. I think the result was I expected more or less, but I didn't expect it to be so black and white, so blatant. You know, the fact is that he's actually got battered on the backstop straight off the bat, and then she's lost this. That's massive. Whether, it's now up for debate, isn't it? Because we're both skeptical. Is this what she's been prepared for? Is this what she was meant to do? Was she meant to engineer this and it to fail, to bring in something new? They're going to have to do something, Jason. If they haven't got a plan to bring this in, they're going to have to create something to distract, whether that's a war or whether that's a false flag, or I don't know. There's something's got to give now, because there is not one politician in my mind that you could put any faith in that would be able to take something forward and do. I know quite a few good people now who are involved in politics through being independent and stuff like that, and they want to help the people. They've got a lot of work to do to get through that, because I've been to council meetings where independents have tried to voice their opinions and they shut them out and they have them removed by security. This is not what council chambers are meant to be about. But the corruption's got to be routed out at the local levels. There's no point going down to London to try and sort something out in my local town. There's no point to that. I've got to start in my local town. The ones in London do that. The ones in Liverpool do that. Ones in Manchester, Birmingham, all these cities, they do that. In the local towns, you've got to start at your local level. I mean, for God's sake, you need to start with something like a mayor that's not a clown, don't you?
Oh God, he is a clown. He's Majid, is that his name? Majid.
Yeah.
That's his name.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Majid.
Yeah. And all he needs, right? All he needs. It's a shame Paul Daniels is not still alive, because he could have introduced him, and that's Majid.
Oh.
Yeah. Apparently, if you say it 3 times, he appeared. Oh my, yeah. It's look. I know different cultures, different names and stuff, but this is my mayor. So it's just, he's not my mayor. He's the mayor of the place where I live. It makes a mockery of the whole thing, because the mayor should be somebody who's local, somebody who's got the best interests of the locality, that someone that knows the history.
Exactly. Somebody who's not pushing an agenda that is going to erase or at least trample all over the local culture and history. I've said it so many times about my local town. We had our own language, our own accent. We had wealth, we had mills, we had everything. And even our charity shops are shutting down now, Jason. And people still say, no, the town's not dying. The town's dying. And to have somebody like Andy Burnham to come along and think that he's a man of the people, and people actually believe that. People actually think, oh look, no, he came. We planted a tree in memory of somebody. We put some ham sandwiches on. He came and we took photographs and everything. Yet he wouldn't listen to about elderly people who are not liable to pay for the gas bills, and they shouldn't be worrying about whether they eat or heat. He wasn't interested in that. That's because these bastards don't work for us. So we've got to change it. For me, it's got to start at the local levels. And I think, for me, I think that's the hardest part, Jason, because, I talk to the wall and my locals. The people aren't interested until it comes to them. Then they'll be interested.
Go and talk to their walls.
I have done. It sounds exactly like my wall.
Listen, somebody in the chat room, I think it's Taylor from last night. From last night's show, he's asked a question in the chat room, and he said, who would win in a fist fight between you and Webby? Me, and me and you, who'd win in a fist fight, Webby? And I mean, now I've had to think about this, and I've come up with an answer. What we should do is what we'd do is, because we're non-violent people ourselves, and we couldn't bear to strike the other one. What we'd do is we'd nominate from our local area or from the vicinity of where we live a local
champion.
A local 70s stroke 80s comedian, and then we'd have I'd have Charlie Williams, and I figured you'd have Frank Sidebottom.
Oh no, if you're going to throw Charlie Williams, I'll throw you Bernard Manning back.
Oh wow, Bernard Manning, I forgot about him. Yeah. I much prefer Frank Sidebottom because he's got a papier-mâché head. And Charlie Williams used to be a boxer, I think, as well, back in the day before he became Yorkshire's first funny black geezer. Or so I'm told, anyway. Right, we've got about 14 minutes to fill here, Webby. Do we talk about how concerned are you that Man City are eating away your lead?
I'm more concerned. I'd be more concerned if football actually meant what it used to mean to me. But I get what you're saying. But with it being just a game, it enables me to look at it from a different perspective. Yeah, it has eaten away, but I can also see, well, we weren't good enough for that, and I can accept that a lot easier now. Whereas when it comes down to banter, I used to hate going into work or anything like that because I'd get grief all week and it'd ruin my week, Jason. But now I can take that as banter, and life doesn't feel bad. And that bit of football, when you can just switch it on for 90 minutes and you just switch off from everything, it's always been my therapy. But it's that drug that eats and controls everybody. It's that distraction. That's why all the money's pumped into it. But going back to that, the lead, we had it in our hands again. We couldn't. We'd been, it's been popping and starting whether we were going to carry it on, and we've still got another win, but we couldn't do that against City. We didn't really play well against City, but the end of the day, the league always tells the truth, doesn't it? You deserve to finish where you deserve to finish. There's a lot of people talking now because of Hillsborough. It would be timely that we won the Premiership, but there's no sentiment in football, is there? Well,
it's 30 years this year, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting, especially with Duckenfield now facing trial. But whatever happens.
Wouldn't that make I'm sorry, but this is the conspiracy theorist in me. But if Liverpool are to win it, this year would be the most romantic year for them to win it.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think? Because I know Heath, and I don't think I'm talking out of turn here, but Heath always, when there's football on and he's watching it and I'm watching it, he'll send me a message saying "fix" all the time, and that these games are fixed. And I look, it's Heath's conspiracy theory, and I don't really want to. It does give an explanation as to why Leeds are top at league as well if it's fixed.
Do you know what? There's that much money in the game, Jason. Why wouldn't somebody want to control it to that kind of a degree? Is it possible? Of course it's possible. Has it gone on in the past? Of course it's gone on in the past. Boxing, look at that. If that isn't a fixed sport, I don't know what a fixed sport is. You've got what's his name? Conor McGregor and the other fella who he fought. They're absolutely hating each other, and they're photographing, holding wads of money, and they're laughing at you. They're laughing at you. So could that happen in football? There's a lot of elements in football. With 22 players, what elements would you need to control in that game?
The players?
Yeah. Would you need to control every player?
Well, I don't know. I don't suppose you'd need to control every player, but that would be preferable. But then Listen, it's a preposterous idea, but it's just that's the way that it appears. I mean, we get all these, like Man City winning league on the last day, last kick of game, when it looked like Man United were going to win it, and it's just sometimes you just think it's just getting too predictable, or well, not predictable, but like sensational, and you get like. Sky, when you watch these England games on Sky, and they were talking about this tournament that's just started, and because England have got to semi-finals of it, this Nations League or whatever it is, because England have got to semi-finals, it's the greatest competition in the entire world. It's going to be huge, And Martin Tyler's on. You can hear him, and you can hear it in his voice, and all he's trying to do the whole time is commentating, but at the same time he's trying to sell it because he knows that he knows that that it's more work for him, isn't it? He's got England games to commentate on, so it needs that if that tournament, if it don't work, the Sky's going to lose a load of money. They must have got loads in it.
Yeah,
it's just for me, it's been ruined. It's ruined, and I know I sound like an old fart, but I want to be an old fart. It has been completely and utterly ruined.
Yeah, football's ruined by money. There's not. It's great to see these athletes now, because I mean, when I was watching some of the '80s stuff of Liverpool, where we were unbeatable at time periods at that time, but it's such a slower game. So I do appreciate that the skill levels and fitness levels and all that is all enhanced, but it's that scientific now, and it's that programmed, that there's that much money involved that I can't see why people wouldn't want to control it. So I can see both points of view, and eventually the truth will come out. It always does. It's interesting to see how things are going to unfold now, because I think things are panning on every front, aren't they? You've got things panning in the Middle East, you've got things panning in the financial system, things panning all across Europe. It's that idea, nobody can stop that idea that time has come. Maybe it is. Maybe you were right to say that let's not get too skeptical about this movement yet. Even though just calling it a movement makes me skeptical.
Yeah, it certainly does. Yeah, it's a bowel movement.
It is. Honestly, Jason, we've been talking about this stuff for so long now. It's almost like when people, it was a bit different last night, because we were talking to Taylor, who's like 9/11 still, it's quite fresh for him. But it's like talking about 9/11 again over to somebody who wants to talk about 9/11. I can't keep talking about 9/11. That is a massive aspect of what is now conditioned us to where we're at. There's a lot of stuff happened between those two false flags, between 9/11 and 7/7. And we've gifted a lot of it by not watching what was going on. And now we can exchange all this information. There's no excuse. There's no excuse why we can't do something. But the first step is to ask the question, well, what can I do? Well, start talking to people. People are local to you. Can you meet up with people? Can you put a poster up in your local pub? Get a talk going. I've done talks where there's only been 4 people there, and 3 of them with my family. You've just got to try and start it out somewhere. I'm trying to start meetings around locally again now. With what's happened with the voting and that tonight, I'm going to be able to drag some of this voting, and I might sprinkle it with a few bits of bills of exchange and see where we go.
Excellent. Well, blah, blah, blah. Is there anything else happening? Anybody resigned?
I can't find anything about resigning yet. Found an article that they've made it a criminal offence now that you can't take any photographs of women's skirts. So you'll have to get rid of that new camera that you got, Jason.
Oh, for fuck's sake, it's that self-esteem. Everyone kept wondering why I got it down low.
Well, I did tell you that even though you put sunglasses on, you couldn't pretend you were blind when your phone's down there, mate.
Yes. So no more news. Nobody.
It's all Brexit, mate. It's all Brexit. Everything that I'm looking at now on my feed is all Brexit. I think it's gonna. I think this is just gonna crack on through the night, isn't it? I've not even been on Twitter yet.
No, we haven't. Not been on Twitter. Let's have a quick look in the chat room before we depart. Hello again. Committed Escaper is here. Tony's in. Taylor's in. It's been a vibrant chat room. Mary Cookie's on again. He's on tomorrow at 9, I think. I think he's on tomorrow anyway. You find do a search on YouTube. He'll be doing a show tomorrow night, I think. Anyway, that's what he normally does. So hello to Kendo as well, John Middleton, Steve Owens. It's been with no guest. It is, especially with things that have been going on, and it's not been an easy show, has it?
It's not like you've got somebody going through news feeds that can give you bits of information, trying to talk and look at the same time, and it's pretty much it's really, you can't get away from Brexit. That's the big thing at the minute. But what they seem to be putting out is some people are saying, "Oh, that's made the pound drop," and then other media are saying that the pound's improved. So we're going to get this bullshit back and forth now, aren't we, for the rest of the week, until they decide what they're going to do with it in the long run.
Well, listen, we've got Michael Doherty on next Tuesday, haven't we? Next Tuesday night. What I've known Mike. Well, I've known of him. I did meet him once in 2012. What's he going to be talking about? I've not been seeing much of him. What he's been doing for quite a while.
No, I've not seen much of him. He came back on my newsfeed quite recently, just before Christmas, and I just clicked on him, and I just got back in touch with him, and he says, "Yeah, no problem." So I've texted him. We've swapped numbers and sorted it out for then. I think basically where he was up to was when he was being harassed with the police, and it was the Metropolitan Police again. You know how lovely and helpful these people are. Helping him out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning, and helping him to not bother getting showered, and handcuffing him in front of his kids bollock naked, all that kind of stuff, because he's trying to report crimes to them that they don't want to deal with. So we've seen John Wedger come out, and we've seen how he was treated. So I've not spoken to Michael properly about it, so I'd like to get started on where he started off with that, and then to see where he's up to now and what he's doing, because I haven't got a clue where he's up to now.
Well, I remember there was an interesting bit of audio that he played. He was at a BCG conference that I went to in 2012. Me and Aidy went to it. And there was an interesting bit of audio that he played from a 999, not a 999 call, a call to the police that he'd made. And luckily he'd recorded it, and it goes through, and I seem to think he's trying to report a crime, and they're knocking him back, beginning him excuses, and then at the end, obviously before the woman's hung up, when the call has ended, obviously before she's hung up, she said the word twat, and you can hear it really clearly. So perhaps we'll be able to get that audio off him and play it on the show as well, because I remember finding that quite interesting.
Yeah, I'll get in touch with him towards the end of the week, over the weekend, because we'll have to make sure that we've got Chrome set up.
Yes, we will. Yeah,
we'll try and get him on a bit earlier so we can make sure that he's sorted, because it was nice to come on last night and Taylor was already set up the boom ready to go. Be good if we can get that.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I'm sure everything technically will go very well. Well, that's it. 9 o'clock. Well, we just find that cog in the corner.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it.
That's it then. That's the cog that cures all Google Hangout ills. Anyway, I'm rambling on. It's 9 o'clock. It's the end of the show. Thank you very much for listening or for watching. If you're watching tomorrow or another day in the future, thanks very much for your support. Been a very vibrant chat room. Get involved with the chat as well. If you're listening and not getting involved with the chat, just get involved. We're a really friendly bunch, and there's always good banter in there. And Super Leads will probably propose to you if you identify as a female. All right. So cheers, Webby, mate.
No worries, pal.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. We'll see you next week, Monday and Tuesday. Ta-ra a bit.